A little bit about the
Because
things.
a lot of these people here.
All the people are here, and we're talking about things that we normally don't talk about in the conference. Right. So, my first question to you is, you have displayed a tremendous capability to embrace all the new digital technologies. You created a whole new business with Predix. It's not easy to embrace the unknown. I think more people are fearful of what tech can do to you or your job or your role. So how do you get over this fear of what technology can disrupt, and how do you make it an opportunity?
Look, I mean, I think the reason that we did it in the first place was out of fear, right? We didn't do it because we wanted to mimic anybody. We did it because we felt like if we didn't do it, we would be displaced. So fear was the major driver. And then I just think you have to be a student of all things. You have to be willing to say, explain it to me, I don't know what you mean, do it one more time, what's a platform, what's an app, let's go through the stack, and you have to be willing to kind of ask questions. But the best motivator is fear, and that's why we did it.
Absolutely. And I think, is there some advice you can give to our folks here, people who watch this? Is there an architecture of your own disruption that you can embrace? What do you really have to do as an individual to get over that, that inertia of being comfortable?
I think it's a great question. I think it has to be, you have to have a point of view that markets rule. You have to have a point of view that in the end, customers are going to make economic decisions. They're going to show you what to do. And if you fight that, you're going to lose. So I think that's really the best way to motivate everybody, is not to make it personal, not to make it theoretical, but make it, look, nervous laughter is a bad strategy. And you're better off kind of understanding that markets rule. And that's, again, what I tried to create inside the company was help a fear, a paranoia about if we don't do it, somebody else will. Good ideas, somebody's going to do, and it might as well be us.
Great. I have a daughter who was born in the year 2000. Some of the best digital coaching I get is from her. I think, is there a sign of times? Are we looking at an org that is inverted?
No, I think it's so true that the next generation is born with kind of the iPhone as a third hand. It's kind of an appendage, and they can do it in the dark. They can do it, they can watch multiple technologies at the same time. And I think the issue for most companies is people, let's say they graduate from college and then they go to work for you, their tools are a downgrade from what they had before. And it's kind of saying, no, but I'm really a modern company. They say, if you're a modern company, why am I stepping backwards in terms of what my tools will do? And I think that's a real challenge in terms of
I think
where you go.
One of our employees told us that 10 years ago the best tools were in enterprises. Today the best tools are with consumers.
Right.
Does it mean that I have to start a reverse mentoring program at the company? Is there a way to formalize it, learn from it?
I have done kind of a global new directions, I called it, which were 30 people that were kind of like first management jobs, things like that. And they give you just a great sense for not just what's going on inside the company, but how technology is really being used. And so I do think it's helpful to be generationally sound, but I also think it's helpful for leaders to understand how people actually work. So go on a manufacturing line, see how a worker does their job. Go on a field call with a service rep, see how a service rep does their job. See how a salesperson, finance person. And I think if you can understand how people do work, then you know what the tools really do. And it's not like some kind of tops-down endeavor. It's really more about understanding how people work.
I think that's a little bit of the future of work discussion that we're having as well, because how do you deal with the remote workforce? How do you make sure you give them the tools, but then you have to follow the productivity, so on and so forth.
All the people that are doing theoretical books about the impact artificial intelligence is going to have on society 20 years from now have never been in a factory, right? They've never been outside a classroom. They've never done, and you would kind of like to see how this unfolds by understanding how people actually are going to do work.
Jeff, you also talked about the fact that you had a ringside view of a lot of the events that changed the world over the last 15 years. And of course, you were running one of the biggest companies. I'm not going to ask you about the business side of it, but I want to ask you about the personal side of it. Now, how do you deal with that pressure cooker situation? You know, you have all the responsibility in the world to come through that crisis. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But then you're projecting this image of being, being in control, giving confidence to the people who think that the world is falling apart. I mean, that's a very hard balance to derive as a human being, because in the end, we're all humans. So talk to us a little bit about your techniques and your tools that you used during that crisis. I think all of us can learn from those. I for sure want to know exactly how you did it.
So, I mean, I would say to a certain extent, being a CEO is, what people don't talk about is what a lonely job it is. It maybe is one of the loneliest jobs on earth. One advantage I had was that I was able, despite the fact I had an active career, I was able to have a really great wife and daughter, and they really never cared what I did. And that was a real positive. They would give me shit all the time, which was not fun. But they never cared really who I was outside the home. And I find that to be extremely valuable. I think, though, however, good leaders absorb fear. Good leaders absorb fear. There's a lot of conversation today about transparency and authenticity, and those are good things, don't get me wrong. But I've seen people be really selfish in the name of transparency. In other words, they just want to come in the room and dump their bucket on everybody, whether or not they could do anything about it or not. I remember in 2011, I was in Australia, and it was during the Fukushima nuclear crisis. And there are 7 nuclear reactors in Fukushima. 3 of them were GE designed. And you couldn't know what was going on in the facility. All there was a CNN helicopter flying over. So I'm in Australia, I'm in Perth, Australia. I'm watching CNN. I'm on a teleconference. I haven't slept the night before. My general counsel saying, oh, this is terrible. This is really bad. We're going to get sued. There's debris in LA. And the scroll on CNN is like, G reactors on fire, blah, blah, blah. I had to go from that call to doing a 1,000-person town hall. So is it being transparent to walk into town hall and say, guess what, guys, we're screwed. We are really in trouble. Or do you go in and say, hey, we got this little thing going on in Japan, we'll get through it, but here's the plan, here's where we're going. So one piece of advice I have is, always be truthful, always be transparent, all those things. But also learn how to suck it up and take it yourself. If spreading pain can't do anybody any good, just suck it up. And people at the end are going to love you for it. Because if they don't know how to do anything about something, they just want to know the way forward. They want to know somebody cares. They want to know what's going to happen next.
It's very heartening to know that I'm not the only one who's not the CEO at home.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit more about what you do besides sucking up the fear to stay relaxed and jovial. I mean, you have a great attitude about it. You golf,
I'm a bad golfer. I read probably 60 or 80 books a year, so I'm a well-traveled, well-read person, and I like just hanging out. I like going to Walmart. I like just kind of hanging out. I love sports of all kinds. Although I don't like, I love sports. I grew up playing sports. I would say the exception is probably cricket. It's just, I never know what's going on. So about 10 or 15 years ago, I'm in India. I might have been Mumbai, and I'm staying at the Oberoi, nice hotel. And it was the night of the college basketball finals in the U.S., which is a huge event. And I said, look, this is the Oberoi. Clearly, they've got to have the basketball game on TV. So there's 12 cricket matches, but not the most important basketball game in the world. So I go down to the front desk and I say, "Kind sir, can you please tell me the channel of the college championship basketball game?" And he looks at me saying, like, who would ever want to watch that? So I try to be a globalist, except when it comes to sports, it's quite hard, I would say.
So, good news is now we get the NBA games live. Only thing you have to wake up at 5 in the morning to watch them. So I'm guessing that you are a New England fan then?
I am. I'm a New England football fan, Celtics fan. I grew up in Cincinnati, so I'm a Reds baseball fan.
Oh, there you go. So I think it's been a good year for.
It's been a good year.
We're going to take just a couple of questions from the audience, and I know it's starting to get a little warm, and then we'll wrap up fairly quickly. So I know she had a question.
Jeff,
Wait for the mic.
Jeff, there's something that I wanted to ask you in the big hall, but I didn't get a chance. You spoke about this on CNN Business some time back. You said that after the Lehman Brothers crash, and you were wondering whether to go ahead with the $18 billion share sale, you're wandering the wall saying, "I want my mommy, I want somebody to hold me." Okay, and that struck such a resonance with me. I said, if the greatest leader in the world can sort of be overwhelmed at times, find it me. And I wanted to ask you, answer this in part really. After all the analysis, all the reports, what are the 2 or 3 things that you do, okay, to take a really critical decision in business?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's a great question because business is a lot about making decisions, and it's an imperfect art. So, kind of one of the decisions is kind of like when you have to make it. So I think people kind of get their own judgment on how much information can you have, but not hanging on too long. So you need to make timely decisions. I think you need to be reflective and impervious at the same time. So, if you can't go back, it doesn't do any good to beat yourself up over it. But at the same time, you want to learn if you made a mistake. And business leaders, look, the very, very smartest, best business leader is right half the time, let's say. So in the course of let's say 15 years as CEO, I made 1,000 mistakes, right? And people would say, well, you need to stand up and say, and I said, God, there's too many to count. But I also did a lot of good things, as part of it. So I just think, there's an expression that a guy I admire says is that, character is who you are. Reputation is what people say you are. Reputations go up and down. Character stays the same. And I think you have to guard your character above all else. Be true to yourself. Be honest. Be open, and just understand that you're going to take some crap sometimes. Sometimes you don't get it when you deserve it. Sometimes you get it when you don't deserve it. And over time, they kind of even out.
I bet that wasn't Mike Tyson who said that.
No, it wasn't.
That's a great perspective, Jeff. One more question here. Can I have the mic here, please?
I want to understand, how do you embrace uncertainty with confidence as a leader?
Yeah, look, it's the best question. It's a great question for all of us today. Is like, I've never seen a world that's more uncertain than it is right now. So I just think it's important to kind of make decisions, but in the back of your mind, you have to have a risk-reward equation in terms of how the decision gets made. We used to build gas power plants in Nigeria. That's not for the faint of heart. But Nigeria needs power. They have gas available. And you're going to be wrong some of the times, but over time, you're going to make money. Every time in India, the government wanted to build a nuclear power plant, but didn't want to have the same risk regime as the rest of the world, I said no. Because if we were right, we would earn $20 million. And if we were wrong, we would lose $20 trillion, right? So you have to know that there's risk in everything you do, but you have to have your own kind of risk-reward equation. And when people get in trouble, it's two times. One is when they take no risk. And the other one is when they take risk, but the rewards are so small, they don't matter. I'm running up here, so let's...
Last question, and then we're going to wrap up.
Yeah.
He's waiting in the sun, so that'll be nice to you.
Jeff, which is that one book which you would recommend all of us present here should read?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Oh gosh, there's so many good ones. I would say one of my favorite books that I've read, let's say in the last 2 or 3 years, is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's just such an open and honest discussion of the life of an entrepreneur. And it's just like such a useful, humble discourse about the vagaries of business, how much luck is involved, and it's just like, they were growing so fast they almost ran out of money. Like you think they should be successful, but they're going broke at the same time. So I think it's good whether you're a big company or not. Or Shoe Dogs are great.
Thank you, Jeff. We
Thanks.
try to organize great weather, but we can only do so much.
I know.
Thank you
Good.
so much. Big round of applause, guys. This has been great. Thank you.